Welcome back everyone to old Nukus, and today we're doing ancient history. There's a pretty unique site about an hour outside of town, so let's try and find a taxi and head out there. Onward.
Здесь такси? Такси? Yes? Я хочу ехать в Chilpik, dakhma. Dakhma.
Chilpik?
Chilpik, ага.
Здесь?
Знаете, не надо совсем туда, просто оставьте меня у дороги и обратно.
Обратно Nukus?
Нет.
Жолда қаламан дейді. Шөлде Чилпиктің туырысында жолда қаламан дейді.
Только туда. Ага. Окей. 25 тысяч.
Да.
Окей. Как это возможно?
Чилпик?
Да? Только я? Целая машина?
Нет,
машина
Нет, я хочу целую машину. Давай. И на том случае?
100 тысяч.
100 тысяч. Поедем.
Wow, you never know what you're going to get. The taxi ranks of Uzbekistan. Beggars, brawlers, hucksters, swindlers, kings of the road, knights errant. We got this guy. Как вас зовут?
Акман.
Akman. We've got Akman. And
Ока не дадам тасаввур кетейин. Яқ, мен уже айдадым уже. Chilpik?
Да. Chilpik. Но просто оставьте меня у дороги, да, и я пойду пешком. Окей?
Холодно?
Холодно, да. Холодно и ветер, да.
Зимней не комна?
Нет.
Куртку?
Нет. Это все, что у меня есть.
Я 100% не знаю или чуть-чуть?
Да, все хорошо, мы понимаем друг друга. Хорошо. Если у вас каракалпакская музыка, будет отлично.
Karakalpakstan есть.
Я знаю, что летом в этом году были здесь протесты.
Что это просто?
Протесты в Нукусе против государства. Да? В июле.
Июль и август.
Да, протесты были. Да. Что случилось?
Очень жарко.
Ага.
Или температура 46 или 47.
Вау. Очень жарко.
Вот и Ташкенте
Мгм.
и 45, 41 и 40.
Ага. И этот поезд куда? Ташкент?
Ташкент.
Ага.
И грузовой поезд.
Да.
Деревья.
Окей.
Россия.
Ага.
Россия, Ташкент.
Отлично. Акмал. И удачи тебе. Все, окей, до свидания. There goes Akmal, what a good lad. And here we are, we're in the desert. Wow, what a blank place. Just nothing to the horizon. This corner of the world has been part of so many different states, polities and empires over the centuries. Now we're in the glorious autonomous region of Karakalpakstan, part of an independent Uzbekistan. But 30 years ago, of course, this was part of the Soviet Union, and the Soviets completely restructured and kind of obliterated the linguistic and social order of Central Asia. And before the Russians arrived, Uzbekistan was split up between various Turkic Khanates. And then before that, part of the Timurid Empire. Before that, the Mongols were here. Before that, we had the Samanids, who brought Islam to this part of the world in the 7th century. And before even that, this region was controlled by various ancient Iranian empires, Sogdians, the Parthians, and so on. And the religion of those empires was not Islam, wasn't Christianity, or anything else that we really regard as world religions today. It was Zoroastrianism, the religion that follows the teachings of the prophet Zoroaster. Very, very few traces are left in Uzbekistan from its Zoroastrian past. But there is something left, and that's what we're trudging through this utterly barren expanse to visit. And there it is, Chilpik dakhma. It should be said, this is how an awful lot of Uzbekistan does look. The Silk Road cities of Bukhara and Samarkand, the turquoise domes, are very much the exception. The vast majority of this country looks like this. Flat, scrubby nothingness. Or it's an industrial wasteland, like on the outskirts of Nukus. But for someone with a fondness for desert landscapes, I don't mind it. Yeah, we're heading. So this is a dakhma, which is an essential part of the Zoroastrian funerary tradition. This is where they would put the dead bodies, and we'll talk about the precise process, when we're a bit closer. Man, it's windy. This is one of the symbols of Karakalpakstan, and you can actually see it on the emblem, coat of arms kind of thing, of this region. And I saw a propaganda poster, well, an image on a government building in Nukus, which had some Karakalpak kids warmly embracing Shavkat Mirzoyev, the president of Uzbekistan, and over his shoulder you could see Chilpik dakhma. What is all this? I'm very sorry, chaps, ladies, I might have brought you here on false pretenses. This goes squarely against the principles of the channel. Tourist infrastructure, oh my goodness, and look at this. They've even given us some rather ugly concrete steps. We don't need the steps. Zoroastrians of 2,000 years ago wouldn't have had concrete steps, would they? So in Zoroastrianism, dead bodies were considered impure, and they couldn't be allowed to contaminate any of the elements around them. So they couldn't bury the dead. That would contaminate the earth, make it impure. They couldn't be committed to the seas or rivers. That would have made the water impure. And they certainly couldn't have been cremated, because the Zoroastrians considered fire to be most holy. So what they would do is they would bring, well, a specialised class of pallbearers would bring dead bodies out here in the middle of nowhere. Across this desert 2,000 years ago, they would have taken the dead body and they would have brought it up to this dakhma, this Tower of Silence. It's barely recognisable as a human structure. would have been made with very primitive techniques, mud and clay and some primitive bricks. Over the millennia, the structure has kind of petrified, but also the water and the wind have made their way through it. It's quite a bizarre looking thing. Maybe there were several paths up here back in the day, but over the millennia, the structure has crumbled and collapsed, and those passages are now impassable. Wow. Maybe we can get in this way. Wow. And there's the great Amudarya, or the Oxus River, with its source high in the Pamirs. And it used to have its mouth in the Aral Sea, where we were a few days ago, until, well, we know what happened there. Alright, let's try and get up here. I mean, just think, 2,000 years ago, those Zoroastrian pallbearers would have carried a corpse all the way out here, to the middle of nowhere, and up through this passage. Wow. They would have brought the corpse up here, performed some rites, and then the corpse would be left here, at the edge of the tower, for the vultures and other carrion birds to feast upon its flesh. And once they'd been picked clean, their bones would either be left in this central area, or some of them might have been collected into ossuaries. You can actually see one of those in the Savitsky Museum in Nukus. One very good question you might ask is, well, where are all these vultures and birds of carrion? The sky is a perfect and spotless blue, not a bird to be seen. I know this is a problem where they still do this method of burial in a few places in India. And the problem is that all the vultures died. I think in India it's to do with the traces of a drug used in veterinary medicine that was in the carcasses of animals, and it infected the vultures, or poisoned the vultures, and their numbers dropped by so much that it would take weeks and months for a corpse to be eaten by vultures, whereas in the past it would have taken a few minutes. I wonder if something similar has happened here. Maybe not so recently, but certainly over the past 2,000 years, because I don't think you'd get gobbled up very quickly nowadays. While I was prating about the Oxus River, I forgot to mention that beyond the Oxus River, just a few kilometres beyond it, lies one of the most closed and bizarre countries in the world. There lies Turkmenistan, where there are Turkmen men, Turkmen women. You probably have lives, hopes and fears much like our own, but unfortunately it's a very difficult place to visit, and I can't promise we'll never get there together, but who knows. It's an extraordinary place. I never would have thought somewhere like this would exist in Karakalpakstan, but there you go. Just think of the thousands and thousands of people whose lives and stories we know almost nothing about, but we know that this is how they wanted to be buried. And they lived and died in this land, here or hereabouts. They were brought here, and here they lie. Their bones long since turned to dust. Oh, right, getting hypothermia, so let's get out of here. Wouldn't want to get scavenged. Okay, this is where we need the Karakalpak people to deliver on their much vaunted hospitality. Right, let's find a good spot, this'll do. Alright, less than 10 cars I say. Oh, that was already 5. Eek. There's a bus stop down here. I'll go and wait there. There we go, there's the old Chilpik Tower of Silence, looking pretty majestic. This one. Oh, what a legend! Oh. But Nukus. Nukus. Спасибо.
Куда едем?
Nukus. Да, спасибо.
Что делаешь здесь?
Chilpik, dakhma. Снимал.
Турист, что ли?
Турист, да. Англичанин. Вау, так холодно.
А где машина?
В Англии. Я принял такси сюда.
Ага.
И да, вот. Спасибо за помощь. Как вас зовут?
Аксут.
Максут. Чосов.
Йосип. Йосип.
Йосиф, да. Вы родились здесь, в Karakalpakstan?
Да. В этом районе родился, Амудари.
Амудари, ага.
Я в армию Россию служил.
А, в Россию? Это было когда? В Союзе?
Да, когда в Союзе. В 88 году служил я. В Челябинске.
Челябинске, да, понимаю, да.
Просто абар кете ойын деп жатқан да.
Висла, сол қая деген аты Блюши деп еді.
Англичанға. Англича білсем.
Рахмет.
Yaxshi. Yaxshi.
Перебывай, до свидания.
Женился?
Я пока нет.
Че, время нет?
Скоро.
Скоро, да?
Может, нет.
Когда 30 лет будешь
Лучше
жениться.
этого не сказать, но... Где еще? Вот, здесь? Здесь, да.
Вот это?
Да. Great service. Спасибо большое, спасибо большое. Возьмите, спасибо. Хватит?
Хватит, да.
Окей, спасибо большое.
Ага,
Очень
ладно.
обязан к вам.
Ага.
Спасибо огромное. Аксут, было очень приятно. Удачи вам. Спасибо большое. И до встречи. Пока. До свидания. Oh, well, there we go. It's goodbye from Maksud. It's goodbye from Akmal and Co. It's goodbye from Karakalpakstan. And it's goodbye from me. Goodbye.